Hi, Marina is here. I created this video using an artificial copy of my voice. Today, I want to offer you a tutorial in mapping solutions and assumptions. Product managers know that untested assumptions can bring your product down, so interrogating your solution is extremely important. Teresa Torres in her book Continuous Discovery Habits offers this framework that I now adopted. You map a solution and then you brainstorm the assumptions that you are making. Ideally, you do this after you design your solution, but before you started testing and delivering. However, if you are already deep in delivery and you have not gone through something similar, I recommend that you do it. Now, it's always better to discover gaps as early as possible. What do you need for this exercise? You need the product trio. So the product manager, the design and engineering leads. I also like to involve a close stakeholder with the deep understanding of a customer success manager or product marketing manager. That's optional and general rule of thumb. Keep the team very tight, just one or two additional to the trio participants. To illustrate this process, I need a sample solution. Please don't get too hung up on the solution. It might be completely off. It's just an example for us to use. I chose a product that most people can relate to, a real estate marketplace, StreetEasy. One of the challenges StreetEasy deals with is the fact that the use of their core value goes through its ups and downs. Users are engaged with the product while they are looking for a new place to live in, and then they have no use for the product until the next time they look to move. That prevents customers from forming a habit and loyalty to the product. One of the solutions for this is to offer supplemental use cases. For example, Zillow offers Zestimate. So imagine that this team is working on the goal of bringing helpful supplemental use cases that bring visits and engagement with StreetEasy when they are not actively searching. And you came up with a solution of offering local event information on the StreetEasy by integrating with Eventbrite. Now we will jump to Miro, where I will show you how I would map this solution and assumptions. This can also be handled on a whiteboard in person. I will offer a separate tutorial on facilitating your group so that you can use your time effectively and get the most out of everyone's brain power. I use a table in Miro for the mapping. The columns represent steps in the interaction and the roles, actors. Actors can be users, systems, and interfaces. We don't have to go into the detail of all the systems, just capture general systems, interfaces, and customers involved. I like to first identify the start and end of the solution journey. A question often comes up: where to start? I think it's best to start at the trigger. When would the customer think to look for a solution that we are trying to create? In some technical products, the trigger actually occurs in the system, not a customer. The system might be a customer then. So in this case, our customer is a StreetEasy customer who recently moved to a new neighborhood. After the move is completed, she is looking to meet other people in the neighborhood and to establish routines for the free time. Now that the move is complete and she has some free time, she feels bored and somewhat intimidated to go explore on her own. The end goal of our solution is to bring this customer regularly to StreetEasy. One way to do so is to have her actively sign up for notifications about local events. So that's what I would put into the end. Now let's explore what happens between the start and end of this solution. She opens her email and sees an email from StreetEasy saying something along the lines: "Did you end up moving? Now put some routes and explore events in your new neighborhood." She clicks on the email. That brings her to StreetEasy local events section. She can pick the neighborhood she is interested in or share her location or address. Let's name that Step View Events and widen the column. She views events list in a map or a calendar format. She can click into an event and see event details. There is a button to buy tickets for events that are not free. That takes her to Eventbrite on a new tab. Let's name that step View Event Details. Next, there is a call to action to sign up to alerts about new events in the neighborhood. Now let's update the end a little. Because the notifications are sent by the email, let's say we decided to start with email notification only, and customer clicks on the notification and visits Street Easy. So just a couple of final touches. Let's name this sign up step, and then let's straighten the map so that it's clear what action goes after what. So that looks pretty good, I'd say. And you can see how much more concrete your solution is. There is a lot less ambiguity whether you're actually building. This brings alignment and allows you to uncover the assumptions you are making. That's the next step. So here let's create a row assumptions and start thinking what all the assumptions are for each step of this solution. First assumption is that indeed customers feel bored and intimidated when they don't know their new neighborhood. And attending events is something that they would consider in this situation. It could be Nico feels this way when I move, but not the majority of customers. That's a desirability assumption. Next, we need to trigger an email to customers who, we assume, moved, but Street Easy actually does not know when someone rented a place through their app. We do see a pattern. Someone visits very frequently, daily or weekly, and then stops. We might assume that that's because they rented something and moved or are moving. But is it really so? So we have two assumptions: that we can isolate such users, and that a sufficient number of those who go through this pattern indeed moved and did not just give up. Then we assume that once customers are not searching anymore actively, they would open an email from Street Easy and not just delete it or unsubscribe. We also are making an assumption that Eventbrite has APIs with all the necessary information for us to be able to show neighborhood events. If Eventbrite has location for events, we are assuming that we can map their location information to Street Easy neighborhoods categorization in one way or another. We are also assuming that most customers will be seeing a sufficient list of events that will be engaging enough for them. We're assuming that once they leave Street Easy to buy the ticket, they will come back and we will be able to sign them up for notifications then. We're assuming that events are something that they would want to receive notifications about, yet another desirability assumption. Finally, we are assuming that there is sufficient open rate of notifications that we will get enough visits from this feature. As a team, you will be coming up with more assumptions, but that's enough for us to demonstrate this with. Now to the final part, mapping these assumptions on the axis of importance and the strength of the evidence supporting them. First, I will copy all the assumptions onto my plot. Then I will start assessing the evidence. For example, we may have already reviewed API documentation and we see that all the information is there. That means that the evidence is strong. We also may have already done research and have a strong insight that indeed local events is something that customers go to when they know about them and that they seek that information. We have not investigated how we could map events to our neighborhoods, but maybe we can get around by asking for a zip code instead. So it's not a deal breaker, but the evidence is quite weak. If there are not enough events for most neighborhoods, the whole feature is disappointing and no one would sign up for it. So it's important, and we have not investigated how many events we see for each area. Also, we are betting this feature on the fact that customers will want to receive notifications. That's important, and maybe we don't yet know sign-up rates for comparable notifications. You continue in the same manner through all the assumptions until you have mapped them all on this axis. The goal is to identify the ones in the top right quadrant. They are the ones you want to validate through investigation and experimentation. Now you became aware of your assumptions, and you know what to focus on. I hope this was helpful. Please drop me a line with feedback. I plan to publish another tutorial soon explaining how you can most efficiently get your group through this exercise. The goal and the hope is that you can go through discovery quickly and efficiently. Thank you.